It's such a shame that in these worlds of licensures and copyrights, I mean, I'm just such a sucker for intro music, Tom. I don't know if it's
I
like
am too.
when I was a little kid, right? Every little boy likes pro wrestling, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
stuff like that. So maybe that's what it got me started. I'm still, stuck on Hulk Hogan's theme song. It's just on repeat. And I am a real American. What's
Yeah.
up, Broncos country? We are real Americans, and we are Broncos country faithful and fans. Who are we? We're MHI. It's Wednesday night, baby. He is Thomas Hall. I am Luke Patterson, ready to take you through Broncos training camp preseason game number 2. It's game week once again, Tom, and we will get into some 49ers leftovers. How we feeling as it sits here on Wednesday, August 13th? Can we officially call this the midway point of training camp? Are we past it? I mean, the dog days of summer are about to come up and come to an end. Football's around the corner, Tom. I know the preseason games, they don't count, but they do matter.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're into the thick of it now. Like this is you got a couple games left, and it's football season, man. So you better get whatever it needs to get straightened out in practice. Whatever problems that you had in the preseason game, you better start making sure you get that squared away, because you only got 2 games now, 3 games total. So you don't have the 4 games to kind of make sure you get everything acclimated, and you better be ready to go. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the season, of course, and excited for Broncos football, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't super excited about what happened in the preseason game. But it is preseason,
and we're gonna get into that, Tom. I mean, Jarrett Stidham is a preseason darling year in and year out for the Denver Broncos. That's not what everybody's talking about, though. Everybody's talking about how did we go from Super Bowl expectations to the starting offense punting 3 and out 4 times. I mean, it's silly little things like that drive Sean Payton crazy, that makes Broncos country question the trajectory of the team. We got to get into that. We got to get into news of the day. What's going on with your guy, Nik Bonitto, star edge rusher? Did he get a little banged up in the 49ers preseason game? What does that mean for joint practice with the Arizona Cardinals this week? We're going to get into all of that and more. But before we do, let's say what's up to some of the friends in the chat. Hang with us, guys. Facebook is acting up. We will get it connected. Sit tight. Let's say hello to some of the friends. David Yonkin, always one of the first in. Really, really appreciate you. Good evening, Broncos Maniacs. I'm hoping that Nik Bonitto gets better so that he can get that bag. And that is always the goal. If you're these guys, you get that bag. But in training camp, small goals first, Tom. You got to make the team. And we are seeing a heated battle in the wide receiver room for your Denver Broncos. Since when do the Broncos have all this talent at the wide receiver position?
Well, apparently this year for the first time in a while. I mean, there's a couple of position groups that have gotten really heated up. I think running back's another one. We can get into that. But this wide receiver room, I don't know how elite it may be, an elite player step up, but there is a competition to make this team for sure. You've got some young guys, really. Troy Franklin, he has made that leap from the year before, and I was a little skeptical. You've got, Sutton, of course, you got Bailey, you got Mims, and then you got a few other, people that you didn't expect, that you weren't even on your radar, like Sheffield, who seemed to come on, had an amazing catch in the preseason. So I think that's a group that you're going to see someone get cut that you may not have wanted to see get cut. Same with the running back room.
Trent Sherfield Sr., extra, read all about it. If you've been reading milehighhuddle.com, which if you're not, I don't know why not. We're not charging anything. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. We've got the best Broncos content for you, coming free to a city and a fan base near you. It's one of these things, man. Trent Sherfield Sr., 3 receptions, 73 yards, a tutty, right? That's how you get noticed by Sean Payton. How do you separate yourself in a thick wide receiver room with guys like Blake Watson? How about the rookie Pat Bryant? A couple catches on the day. Not too bad. Troy Franklin, you mentioned him. Joaquin Davis. The running backs, as you know, Tom, they're going to be utilized heavily in Sean Payton's offense. It's really important that you stand out in these preseason games. But you got to put them together if you're a Trent Sherfield, right? I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, my God, Trent Sherfield and Jarrett Stidham, we're ready to go. Let's ride.
Yeah.
Go. We have got to figure out where this young man is going to fit on the roster. How can he help not only the wide receiver room, but a Bo Nix budding superstar, Sean Payton, his expectations on offense? Where does this guy sit? I mean, these are questions that Trent Sherfield Jr. can all but answer by putting together a really good practice. And for me, Tom, I think that's where I'd like to start. You look at the game cap and you go back and you rewatch the film. 30-9 in preseason game number 1. Broncos dominated the Niners. Now, tons of storylines that didn't really matter, right? You've got Dre Greenlaw against his old team, Hufanga. Starters didn't play a bunch. The real work came in practice, Tom, a day or two before the preseason game. And all reports indicated that Bo Nix and the Broncos offense looked not only competent, but a little dangerous out there in Santa Clara. And that gets me excited. That's where you're going to see a little bit more of the meat and potatoes. We are always talking on this show. Nobody wants to see the sausage made, right? Because it's a nasty, gritty process. We all just want to enjoy it, that sweet meat. Well, you're going to enjoy some Broncos football if Bo Nix and Sean Payton's offense can put together a really good day of joint practice against the Cardinals. A competitive day, a day where you build and clean up those mistakes. Coach is going to talk about it, and I know it drives everybody crazy. But there are some things that are happening in Broncos preseason game number 1, little missed assignments, MAs, when you go back and you chart the film. You got to clean it up before you talk Super Bowl. And I feel silly going on ESPN talking about Super Bowl expectations, right, on air, just like you do. We all have to regurgitate these things because that's what we're being told. It's what we want to believe. And then you got the starting offense kind of lay an egg out there. Talk to me about Jarrett Stidham. Why did the second string offense look so much better than Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, and the fellas?
Well, I don't really know. I was a little disappointed in their performance in the preseason game, although from what I understand, the practices went pretty much Broncos' way. So, maybe it was just some stuff cleaning up. They were off, timing was off. I'm not really sure what was going on. I was very disappointed in the starters in offense because not just because they're the starters, but for the most part, they were going up against non-starters for the 49ers. They rested a lot of folks, so they should have dominated for the most part. But it is preseason, so I don't want to read too much into it. I would get worried if they came out and were flat like that and miscues in the second preseason game. Then I may start to scratch my head and go, what the heck is going on? So I don't know what happened. But when Stidham came in, I think the 49ers were probably already subbing into their third stringers. So, you're going to look better when you're playing people that may not even be on the team, in a few weeks. So that's what it was. But, some people are preseason darlings. Some people have great preseasons, but when it really matters, they fold, and other people, struggle a little in preseason. And then the next thing you know, in the real games, they're much better. So it's not a lot to read into, but I guess I'd say a little bit disappointed in their performance.
I think that's fair to say because, look, this isn't just coming from Sean Payton. I mean, this is coming from the national media. Look at Kay Adams, right? Kay Adams loved her time in the Mile High City. And she's not just the type of gal to spin her wheels. She sees something in this Denver Broncos squad and something in Sean Payton and what he's selling over there at Denver HQ. But you got Payton talking about Super Bowl expectations. You've got your superstars getting contract extensions. It's time to go. I want to see, Bo and the guys put together a good series, clean it up, and let's get into it. Our guy at String Guy, a member of the MHH community. We thank you for your membership. You've been a huge supporter of our shows for years, String Guy. Really, really appreciate you guys. If you want to become an official MHH member with exclusive access to certain things like, I don't know, Broncos Book Club on the weekend or Kelberman's Corner, other exciting content that's coming, head on over to YouTube. Press that join button. We have got your back. Luke and Thomas, how concerned are you guys about the defense stopping the run? I expect teams to pound the rock up the middle on the Broncos. Stray, I'm extremely disappointed of how the run game has continued to plague Vance Joseph throughout his career. Now, that's not to say that when you go back and you look at things, and I'm sure Gridiron Intelligence would be a resource we could use for this. If you went back to look at Vance Joseph's defense year over year, you do see improvements in the run game, but improvements don't necessarily mean it's good enough. We need consistent run stuffers, Tom. And we can talk all day about our favorite, Zach Allen, right? But what we really need to talk about, I know you don't like him, DJ Jones, right? He's going to be a starter in this defense. But the Malcolm Roaches of the world, the Jordan Jackson, Jordan Miller, Matt Henningsen. We'll talk about a horrible, horrible outcome and diagnosis for Broncos defensive lineman Matt Henningsen, who tore his Achilles. He's going to be out the entire 2025 season. So there's a D tackle where a slot immediately becomes open. Who wants to take hold of that? Your guy Savion Jones, rookie out of LSU, right? It's time for these guys to step up. Stopping the run, a huge concern for me. I know it is for you, Tom. Who's going to be the difference maker this year in the run game for Vance Joseph?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously in the playoff game, they were exposed, but they did make some changes. The one change that I expected them to make that they didn't was get that more of that run stuffer up the middle on the defensive line. But they went out and got Dre Greenlaw. They went out and got Hufanga. I think they got a little bit better in run support, but I still think there's a little meat left on the bone when it comes to the defensive line and the run stuffing. Malcolm Roach, by all reports, has been an animal out there. So, I mean, he was a surprise last year to me. He may have stepped up. You never know. And my guy, the one I keep talking about, Wazirike, that you keep giving me heck about, he could be the guy. I like DJ Jones. I don't know. I say I don't like him, but I just know he's past that prime of.
You don't like DJ Jones stuff. Just admit it. You've never liked him. You got beef with the guy. You don't like barbecue. His family has a barbecue. You just must not like barbecue. I don't know what it is. You're right.
Love barbecue. You're painting me with the completely wrong brush here. I love barbecue. I like DJ Jones. I wish they had invested a little bit more in the run stuffing portion of the defensive line. Now it's a passing league, so you've got to get after the quarterback. That's the number one part of the defense that you got to get down. But if you can be run on at will, nothing else is going to matter.
When you got to stuff up that interior, to your point, Tom, why? So your edge rushers can feast. We're getting ready to talk about Nik Bonitto, my guy Jonathan Cooper. We're going to talk about all of them, right? But how about Pat Surtain, reigning defensive player of the year? Is it a coincidence that Pat Surtain had the type of success that he had in 2024 with this Broncos D-line? No. With the edge rushers? No. They're synonymous. You talk about it all the time. Let's get to our friends and our family here at MHH. Another exclusive member, the Ronk. He's been in it with us since we kicked off the show years ago. Good evening, Thomas and Luke on MHI. Let's go, Bo Broncos. Ronk, I was thinking about you today, man, because fantasy football is upon us. And now's the time for all the clever little nicknames. I'm all in on Bo Nix. Tom, you and I were all in on him as soon as he got drafted here. We're excited to see where he's going. We're not casting a vote for Canton just yet, but we're very excited for the trajectory of Bo Nix. I had to change my fantasy football team name, right? Nix Flicks and Chill felt very appropriate to me, especially after my viral tweet last year when we're talking about Bo Nix puns, and we could go on and on. Got myself in a little trouble occasionally, but I'm excited, Ronk, and you have a ton of reason to be excited as well. You know what also excites me? Our friend Deanna. Deanna's weighing in here, a huge, generous $50 over on YouTube. What's up, Deanna? I hope you and yours are doing well. Hopefully the grandkids are enjoying their back-to-school festivities. It's that time of year, right, Tom? I mean, back to football means back to school for a lot of folks and back to the regular grind. Good evening, all. I am glad to hear that Nik Bonitto isn't hurt bad and will be okay by the season's start. I'm also hoping that Bonitto gets his contract soon. The starters did what they were told to do. It's preseason. There's nothing to worry about. Go Broncos. Tom, talk to me about Nik Bonitto. Should Deanna be worried, or is her optimism supported by what is ultimately a good prognosis?
Yeah, it sounds like everything's okay. He's supposed to be back practicing very, very soon. So I don't think it was a huge deal. They're probably resting it, getting him back. But I don't want them to push him back too soon. I make sure that thing is healed, because what I saw in the preseason game, now, of course, this Bonitto might have been going against a second stringer. I'm not sure. But his ability to get off of the ball at the snap, his quickness was so present during that game. It seemed like it was faster than last year. So he needs to be healthy. he's going to have a monster season if he can play like I think he's going to play. But these are meaningless games right now. Don't push him back. Let him ease himself back into it. Make sure he's completely healed. But it does sound like it's not a serious injury. It sounds like he'll be back soon, and everything's going to be okay. He can keep playing and hopefully get that contract extension soon.
Yeah, it was a lower body injury, right? Coach talked about it yesterday, said, quote, something in his foot, quote, he's going to be all right, quote, expects him to practice Wednesday. Well, he didn't practice today. He observed. I don't think that we need to panic. Deanna, you're exactly right. This is preseason. These are precautionary things. Coach likes to work smarter, not harder. I know that goes against his attitude and his personality, but I think Sean Payton truly is evolving with the times when it comes to state-of-the-art facility, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to conditioning, those sorts of things. He probably has some advanced analytics, some probabilities on injuries, on rest days. Something tells me things are very measured over there at Broncos HQ. And speaking of measured, Deanna's generosity knows no bounds, and she is just officially gifted 10 Mile High Huddle memberships over on YouTube. Talk about taking care of your own. Broncos country, you have a gem. Be very grateful for one Deanna Hendry and her beautiful family who's gifting 10 lucky Mile High Huddle membership subscribers with info to come. I already reached out to Chad. Stay tuned, everybody. And Deanna, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you. I know the time zones are a little funky where you're at, where we're at, but you tuning in truly means all the difference. Can't wait to chat with you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Deanna. It's wonderful that you're in the chat. You've been a wonderful fan of the shows, Mile High Huddle. We can't appreciate enough. And what's going to be the reward is the Broncos are going to be a better team, and we're going to have more fun when we're doing these podcasts, interacting with you all, fans. So this is going to be a great season, and I think the excitement is yet to come. People are going to be more excited about the Broncos, and we're going to have a heck of a lot more positive to talk about as we get into the season.
No, I completely agree with you, man. And let's get to another one of our own. Thank you, Deanna. Thoughts and prayers, hoping for a good year for you and our Denver Broncos. David coming in. Speaking of thoughts and prayers, hopefully you are doing well, brother. We are thinking about you here on Wednesday nights, MHI. Good evening, Broncos country. David still calling his shot. 13-4, man. 13-4. We talk about it every week, David. That means great things for the Denver Broncos. That means a season that I didn't see coming. Tom and I like to usually share our season predictions as soon as training camp is up, as soon as the 53-man roster is officially set for regular season game number 1. That's when we'll give our predictions. I'm not taking any victory laps on Scott and Tom last year, but this guy.
You were closer than I was.
But to be fair, Tom, you made it up in the staff pick'em, because of the staff pick'em, you kicked my butt. I don't remember who finished where, but you were all over it in the pick'em game. So somehow you need to make sure they both translate. You can't hedge your bets on one. All right.
Well, I got really close. I was so close that I picked the Broncos to lose in the final week because I was going for the win. I knew they weren't going to lose, but that was the only way to win the whole thing. And of course, I lost. But I don't care about third or fourth or second place. It was first or nothing, so I didn't care.
First or last. And just as we tie like a big red bow on the 49ers, and we can talk 49ers if y'all want, preseason game number 1. I know you guys are ready for the Arizona Cardinals and see what joint practice looks like, right? Do you think Kyler Murray gets Xbox Live in his hotel room? I mean, are the Broncos beaming it in there, or
it's probably a special request that he makes when he has to get the special request at the bottom of your hotel reservation. Need an Xbox.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, man. I mean, Kyler Murray and for the Arizona Cardinals, you're about to find out what kind of offense you have, what kind of quarterback you have. Now, they're not necessarily live rounds per se, Tom, in these joint practices, because it's important to take care of your guys. And maybe this is a little different this week with the Cardinals. The 49ers, the Broncos, they have some history. We don't need to go into it, right? The Shanahan connection, the John Lynch connection, the front office connections for years. The Niners, it feels like they've scouted Broncos and poached Broncos talent, whether it be in the front office or on the field. I got a little soft spot for the Niners, but my guy Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, I'm ready for those guys to make a difference in the run game for one Vance Joseph's defense. The reason I bring up the 49er connection, Bo talked about it last week. He said, he was asked the question, usually things get a little chippy out here. You see fights, right? I see Mike Vrabel getting bloodied up, and I'm sure Coach Love is saying some crazy things. He's willing to cut what off to win a Super Bowl. I don't know, Tom. That guy's crazy. But when it comes to Bo Nix, he's like, no, we're not fighting. We respect each other. This is about building something. Well, that's because Mike was on the sidelines. That's because Kyle's in charge. That's because John Lynch is there. That's because Sean Payton has those pelts on the wall. Right? Yeah. It was understood going into joint practice. We're not going to hurt each other. We're going to get some work in. Can the same be said for the Arizona Cardinals? I get that they're in the NFC, right? NFC West still, but there's not that connection. I'm not saying that the Broncos are going to go out there and absolutely kill Kyler Murray. That shouldn't be the instruction from Vance Joseph. I know it's not the instruction from Sean Payton, but I do think things are going to get a little chippy with the Cardinals. You don't have that respect. If you're the Denver Broncos, how much respect do you have for the Arizona Cardinals?
Very little. They've dominated them head to head. Plus, on top of it, so they're still in those, dog days of the training camp. They were respectful of the 49ers. They're probably getting tired, and they're probably going to start getting a little chippy. Also, this is a time where some of these players are fighting for their lives, their NFL lives, to stay on a team. They want to get noticed. They're going to take exception to anybody doing something they don't like. So there could be some chippiness in these joint practices for sure. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of players who may get a little frustrated on the Cardinals side and maybe start something, because I'm anticipating the Denver defense to really frustrate that Arizona Cardinals offense, because the Denver defense is supposed to be really, really good. I think they are. And we'll see how that translates to NFL games. But from what I heard about the practices with the 49ers, they really took it to them. So they're going to do the same thing with the Cardinals.
Well, and it always happens that way. And I want to piggyback off of that a little bit. Like, usually when a team is getting their ass kicked, that's usually when the chippiness happens. That's a cheap shot. It's a shove in the back. It's a minor disrespectful infraction, if you will. Right. And it's always funny when we talk about fights, Tom, in the NFL, right? Like, what constitutes a fight in the league, right? And it's like, you got to know this. If you're fighting, keep your helmet on and don't swing at the helmet. All right. Like, it's usually just pushing and shoving. If you really want to get severe, I guess you could say, grabbing a dude by his face mask. That's a reason to go in my book. Like, you can't be doing any of that. Kicking guy. Remember when Albert Hainsworth was stomping on people and stuff? Like, you can't have any of that, right? No. So you want to keep things clean, but I want to see a chippy defense. I would love to see Dre Greenlaw out there. Don't know how his reps and load management is going to go in the preseason. I'm okay if coach doesn't want him there. But maybe there's a little bit chippiness for Vance Joseph too, right? I mean, the Cardinals let coach go, and just like the Broncos, and you always kind of want to stick it to your former team. Zach Allen, another Arizona Cardinal, right? When Zach Allen came over from the Arizona Cardinals to the Denver Broncos, he was replacing Draymond Jones. I was very concerned that he would not be able to have the same level of productivity, hell, even the same upside, if I'm going to be completely honest, right? And I take that L and I wear it, because Zach Allen is one of the most impressive interior defensive linemen in the league. For me, he stands up there with a guy like Chris Jones. This man's cardio at the interior defensive tackle position is unlike anything I've ever seen, Tom. I mean, I don't want to call it Aaron Donald-esque, because it's a different level of raw strength and power. But what Zach Allen has done these last 2 seasons is nothing short of remarkable. And that's why he got a 4-year, $102 million contract. I want to see what some of that attitude looks like with a Dre Greenlaw, with a Hufanga. How does that change a little bit? Because I say it over and over, and I'm not going to stop. The personality and identity of your Broncos defense cannot be coming from the cornerback position. No disrespect to Pat Surtain, no disrespect to Champ Bailey. Those guys are leaders in their own right, but it has to have a tone setter that's usually coming from the linebacker or the D-line.
Yeah, and I do worry a little bit about Vance Joseph. I don't think he's got that kind of mentality to really emphasize that. So hopefully someone steps up. I hope Dre Greenlaw is the one that steps up. Somebody like that who is the tone setter, who is that dog who can go out there and have a chip on his shoulder, have an attitude, and not let the freaking step over of Patrick Surtain slide like they did last year in the playoff game. So I'm looking for that too. I'm looking for some edge. I'm really hoping that Vance Joseph lets that flourish. He just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's like out there getting people fired up, getting people ready to like go out there and do whatever it takes kind of thing. So I think it's up to the players a little bit. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm with you. They need some attitude.
They need some attitude, and it's got to come from within the team. It's not something that Vance Joseph, I think, possesses. I think he's got very technical coaching down, but the spirit has to come from your players on the field. Let's say what's up to some of the friends in the chat. I know I got to String Guy earlier, but thoughts and prayers to String Guy, who's dealing with a torn left rotator cuff, man. Thoughts and prayers. I know rehab can be tough on that. I've got a metal arm myself. Hopefully you are doing well. We will keep you in our thoughts and prayers. Let us know how you're doing. Also see Broncos country in here, getting it on, being healthy. We've got guys running miles. You've got guys at the gym right now. I love to see Broncos country taking care of themselves. So huge shout out to all of our friends in the chat. Jason weighing in, another member of the MHH community. Good evening, Jason. Audric Estime looks like he's cooked. I've been in his corner, but Blake Watson and Tyler Bidet are just outperforming him. This is the first thing my dad asked me about after the preseason game. He's like, Luke, what's going on with Audric Estime? What did he do to Sean Payton? Because we've seen the reports, right? Audric Estime's had a little bit of an attitude in training camp. He's needed to be straightened out a little, if you will. Now underperforming. You don't dress for the Buffalo Bills game. Is the writing on the wall for the player they nicknamed Baby Bus, as in Jerome Bettis, coming out of the University of Notre Dame? Broncos country does not seem impressed with Audric Estime.
Well, I'm not impressed with him. I don't think he is what people thought he was going to be. I know he's a 6th round pick, but people were really high on him. They thought he was going to be a lot better than he is. Obviously, the NFL scouts didn't think so because he slipped all the way down to the 6th round. He's playing like a 7th rounder. Actually, he's doesn't have the ability that would get him more snaps. Obviously, he had some fumbling problems, but he was just flat outplayed in that preseason game. Blake Watson was pretty solid in the running game, but excellent in the passing game. So if you want a third running back that can give you a change of pace, something a little different out of the backfield, he's already light years ahead of Estime. But outplayed him as a running back for sure. So you've got those two guys, plus you've still got the holdover McLaughlin, who actually had a pretty rough outing for the most part. He's ahead of him too. I mean, the writing is on the wall for Estime. I would be surprised. He might get picked up if they cut him, but I don't think he's going to be sticking around in this league very long. He just doesn't have what it takes, and he's whining about, from what I understand, what I've heard, rumors or whatever, that he whined a little bit about not getting enough snaps. Well, go out there and prove that you need more snaps. Don't talk about it. Go out there and do it on the field.
Yeah. Who missed that on the personality test in the scouting department for the Broncos? You know, Sean's like, what the hell, guys? I thought we were getting one thing and we got something completely different. Maybe that just alludes to speculation and some things from last season with Audric Estime. Man, a whiner on a Sean Payton football team. That does not sound good. Some teams will tolerate that nonsense if you're a superstar, but when you're a running back competing for a spot on the team and you're not even in the conversation for the 1 or the 2, not even in the 3. And we'll get into Quadzilla. We'll talk about CJ Harvey. I know there's a little bit of criticism on the rookie in his first preseason game, wanting to bounce everything to the outside. I see it on social media. I have some opinions of my own. Want to hear what you have to say, Tom, after watching the film as well. But before we do, what's up, Phil McLaughlin, man, our good friend over on Facebook. Really, really appreciate you for riding with us, Phil, every single Wednesday night, and I appreciate you bringing this up. We at the MHH community on MHI and Broncos country are all mourning and sending our thoughts and prayers to the Taylor family. Broncos Ring of Famer Lionel Taylor has passed away. Literally just happened before the show started. He was one of the Giants, Tom, as you know, in Denver Broncos history, departing this earth at age 89, 2 days shy of his 90th birthday. And you can read about some of Lionel Taylor's accomplishments, what he meant to the franchise, what he meant to Broncos country over at mobhighhuddle.com. Bob Morris has a really good article up right now. Didn't start his career with the Broncos, Tom, as you know, with the Chicago Bears as a linebacker. Yep. So all of a sudden he came to the Broncos and changed the trajectory of not only the franchise, but the wide receiver position here in Denver.
Yeah, well, he was one of the original Broncos, so to speak. You know, he was in there at the start, one of the few star players. And you could argue that he's probably got the greatest hands of anybody in Broncos history. Anything that came his way, he would catch it. So it is, it is a sad day to see, that Broncos legend, that great, who, I believe I've made a case for him for the Hall of Fame, and he's never going to see that gold jacket, and even if he ever does get in. But some of the things that he did that just weren't happening back then. 100 receptions in a season. He was the first one to do it.
That was a record, Tom. That was a Broncos franchise record until 2000 when the great Rod Smith tied it and then surpassed it in 2011. I mean, that stood for how many years until Rod came around? That's 40 years.
And not only that, that record that he had was bested kind of early on by Hennigan. But by 1990, it was still in the top 3. So for almost 3 decades in the NFL, nobody really kind of passed him. Plus, he had amazing seasons, other that weren't 100 yards or 100 receptions in the season. But there were many of them. Like I think there's 5 of them were still in the top 5 by top 15 by 1990. So the guy caught everything that came his way. He played on a team that didn't have any stars. He was the star on offense for the most part. So, his accolades kind of go unnoticed because he just, he didn't have a lot of players around him. He didn't have that dynamic, run after the catch ability, but man, a reliable receiver if there ever was one. And it is a loss to see these legends go before getting their due, which I think he should be. I actually can make a case for him for the Hall of Fame.
I love it, Tom, and I'm going to jump on the bandwagon with you because not enough Broncos are recognized. Maybe I have my orange and blue glasses on. I don't really care, but I got to say this. It pisses me off when guys don't get their due and their families don't get to celebrate it with them on this earth. That is unacceptable to me, and it shouldn't happen. Now, I understand the circumstances sometimes dictate an alternative fork in the road, and things happen. However, this is this is immortality. It's the Hall of Fame we're talking about here. And this is a Broncos Ring of Famer. And this is a man who was involved with professional football, college football. Tom, I'll be honest, he was a little bit past or before my time. So I had to do a little bit of reading on him today. And Bob has a really good article over at milehighhuddle.com. Not only did he set franchise records for your Denver Broncos, the Kansas City native was also a coach. I didn't know that. He's coaching wide receivers from the Pittsburgh Steelers between the 70s and 76. I mean, that's Lynn Swann, John Stallworth. I mean, huge names in professional football. Then he heads over to the Rams, coaches for them, ends up at Oregon State as well, comes back to the NFL and coaches the Browns. I mean, this is a man who came from Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? A New Mexico college, and truly was an underdog and made his bones in the league. We at MHH, specifically here at MHI, express our deepest condolences. And let's celebrate the life of one Lionel Taylor because what an impressive member of Broncos country. Thoughts and prayers to the Taylor family.
You know what's interesting, too, about Lionel Taylor? He never really got a shot. But the reports are he was a great coach and should have been offensive coordinator and got a shot at head coaching, but never really got a shot. The reports are he was excellent and should have made those ranks as went up the ranks as a head coach, but never got it. So, it's one of those things where for whatever reason, he didn't get noticed as a, excellent wide receiver by the Hall of Fame. He didn't get noticed enough as a coach and just carried on about his business and went out and succeeded regardless of what was put in front of him. So I think that in and of itself being, not being able to reach the ultimate, but still out there performing is a good, it's an ode to his personality and who he was as a person. So not only a great player, but seemingly a great person as well. I can talk a lot about Lionel Taylor, but the interesting thing is I did a Mile High legend about him, and I think he would have made it in the Hall of Fame had he not been mispositioned with the Chicago Bears, because some of those guys made it in the Hall of Fame that he was going to be on the team with. But what happened was he filled out a form that said he could play any position instead of checking wide receiver because he thought that it would give him a better chance of making the team. And so they put him at linebacker just from that one, filling out that one sheet of paper. And he washed out and became a great star for the Denver Broncos as a wide receiver. Had he put, I play wide receiver, he would have probably been the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver right away for the Chicago Bears, and they got tons of people in the Hall of Fame. So he's probably would have been in the Hall of Fame had he not mismarked that one piece of paper early on in his career.
Well, and I'm sure the man worked like a dog, hard worker. You don't find all this sort of success just letting it fall into your lap. But I feel as if for some athletes, for some men, for some women, things come naturally to them. And like sometimes, Tom, I see this and they see this. And he's one of those guys. You go from linebacker to receiver and then back. I mean, it's just thoughts and prayers. It's a very impressive career. Really, really appreciate it. And share your Lionel Taylor memories with us here on MHI. We would love to celebrate the life of this man and this Broncos Ring of Famer. Clayton Heron, what's up, Clayton? Over on Facebook. I'm sure your kiddo's starting back to school, which means it's back to football. We got to get these preseason games over, and it is on for the 2025 football season. Smash that like button and share. Guys, you can catch us on all the platforms. I'm talking Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X. If you don't get this live, Spotify, iTunes, we have got your back over at Mile High Huddle. Head on over to X. Give this show a follow. That's at MHI_pod. If you'd like to reach out to Tom over on X, that's at Thomas Hall NFL. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Head on over to gridironintelligence.com. Something special is brewing, a new analytical resource that Tom has officially launched. We're going to be using it this season in the regular season. We have a ton to talk about with Gridiron Intelligence. I know MHH is going to be utilizing it. You have a lot of fun things to share coming down the road, but I encourage everybody, head on over to gridironintelligence.com as we prep for preseason game number 2, but more importantly, it's joint practice with the Cardinals. And I'm sure you're going to hear Coach talk about Lionel Taylor tomorrow. You're going to get some shout outs there. Everybody's listening to what Coach Sean Payton's saying. And Sean doesn't just say things willy-nilly. He doesn't just say things off the cuff. I know sometimes people perceive that, but I think Sean is a very calculated mind. It reminds me a lot of Mike Shanahan. And when I listened to Sean Payton talking to Kay Adams, 3 things really stood out for me in a recent conversation that you could see over on X, on social media, wherever the hell you want to see Kay Adams, Sean Payton talk, you can find it. But Coach was talking about 3 specific goals, and it's goals that we talk about on this show quite a bit, Tom. We always talk about setting your short-term goals so that way you can eventually get to the long-term. So what did Coach Sean Payton say about some goals for the 2025 season? Well, he says first you got to win the division, right? The AFC West. This is going to be one of the best divisions in professional football. And keeping an eye on the Raiders. I see all that bull jive. Almost started cursing, right? I got to steal my Coach Prime. I can't curse. Or Bo Nix, rather, or Phillip Rivers. A bunch of bull jive coming out of the Raiders with their starting quarterback flipping fans off with Max Crosby in the preseason. If that's what gets you up, Raider Nation, then go for it, because the rest of us are just trying to survive the preseason. Y'all want to be the preseason darlings? Be my guest. 3 out of the 4 teams in the AFC West, Tom, as you know, were in the playoffs last year, and the Raiders weren't one of them. All right. So while I'm keeping an eye on them, they're still a damn joke as far as I'm concerned. That's how Pete Carroll wants to run his franchise. Go for it. Enjoy Sin City. What's going on with the Chargers, Tom? What's going on with the Chargers? You know, I'm not a Harbaugh guy, but I respect his team. I respect Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen has returned to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think this is a very underwhelming move for a lot of people. It's not for me. This is one of Justin Herbert's favorite targets. His wide receiver room has gotten younger in the last 2 years that Keenan Allen's been gone. But Keelan didn't want to play with Caleb Williams anymore. Remember how much better Caleb Williams was supposed to be than Bo Nix, painting his nails, acting a fool, throwing a hissy fit? Well, Keenan Allen said, I don't want to be with that selfish guy. Get me back to L.A. I want to play with Justin Herbert. How concerned should the Broncos be with the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC West?
Well, I mean, I know you're not a Harbaugh guy. He's a good coach, and they took him to the playoffs last year. So they're a formidable opponent. So I wouldn't overlook them at all. But I'm hoping that the Broncos can figure out how to beat the Chargers, because they obviously didn't last year. I'm not concerned about Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen used to be a Bronco killer. But I mean, what is the guy, 65 now? I mean, he's been injury prone. So
how dare you?
He doesn't worry me too much. But he could have a big game. So he's still a good wide receiver, but he is past his prime, injury prone. You may not see many fireworks out of him this year. So I don't know. From my perspective, the Broncos they absolutely have to split with the Chargers this year. They have to, or they're not going to win the division. So they better figure out a way to beat them. Roy, thank you so much.
Roy Osborne, a shout out. What's up, Roy? Our go-to guy, man. Hope Gridiron Intelligence launches like a rocket ship that stays sky high, and you know it will because Thomas is involved, man. I can't wait for you guys to see what Thomas has planned for this season, man. It's going to be awesome. I can't spill any tea. I've been sworn to secrecy, but it's going to be really, really exciting. You guys are going to have a lot of fun. And you guys are going to be able to give the proverbial that Raider finger to PFF and some of those other guys once this thing gets going. You'll be really, really happy with it. I'm super excited. I'm proud of Thomas. He's been doing great, man. So huge tip of the cap to you, bro. Can't wait for your big moment this season. Here's the reason why I'm worried about Keenan Allen, Tom. You're right. He's old. He's washed up. He's not the same guy. You're right. I agree. Does he have to be the same guy? Does he have to be the wide receiver one? I think Keenan Allen was brought in exclusively by Harbaugh, Herbert, and the Chargers to be one man and one man only. He wants to be a poor man's Mike Evans in this Justin Herbert-led offense, a red zone threat. That's a man you put against Riley Moss, and you say, go get the ball. Now, should Riley Moss beat him? You're damn right. He's younger. He should be healthier. There should be plenty of gas in the tank. You should study Keenan Allen's film. You should know his tendencies a little bit. Those secrets are out. But I ask you, Tom, Keenan Allen versus Riley Moss. How do you feel about that matchup? Do you give Keenan Allen a little bit more respect considering he's an aged vet with a Pro Bowl quarterback?
Well, yeah, he's going to get his licks in on plenty of folks. My problem is will he be out there on the field in order to do it? So that's why I'm not so worried about it. Still a good receiver, definitely not in his prime, but yeah, he'll get the better of a cornerback now and again. But at this point in his career, he's going to be doing it less often than you've seen it in the past, unless he has some resurgence that I am not expecting that surprises me. Then okay, I just don't think he's that key piece for the Chargers that are going to put him over the top. I think he's a good piece to pick up. And I think, he'll probably give somebody trouble, once in a while, especially when he plays the Broncos, because he has in the past, but he's not that same difference maker that he was. So for me, he's not that key piece for the Chargers. They need something else, maybe a different jinx or, whatever it is that has always kind of failed them at the wrong time, whatever it is. Maybe Herbert being a better playoff quarterback might help a lot. So those are the things that I would be more worried about, is him putting it together versus a pickup of an older wide receiver.
I completely agree. And the reason I bring it up, Tom, is because we're going to see it. And you're going to, like you said, I love the way you put it. He's going to get his. And it makes me think of Marshawn Lynch, right? I think I brought this up a few weeks ago when he said, I know I'm going to get got before I get mine. Before I get got, I'm going to get mine. And that's exactly the way the league runs. I bring up Riley Moss versus Keenan Allen because today, Tom, at Broncos training camp practice, cornerback Damari Mathis got banged up today. Not sure what the injury was. He walked off the practice field with a trainer, so that's good. You never want to see a guy get carted off, but Damari Mathis been having a decent training camp, right? I mean, this is a guy that needs these reps. You and I were talking last week. I thought you brought something on. I stole it a little bit, talking to some other media folks, and I didn't give you credit because I wanted it all for myself. But Jaquan McMillan, you're talking about Jaquan McMillan being a potential trade candidate. I think that's a fantastic idea if your secondary room is healthy and safe and you're ready to rock and roll. You're telling me a Damari Mathis injury could throw a wrench into this. Maybe I want to hang on to J-Mac just a little bit because I see where you were headed with that, and there was some good capital there potentially. Maybe another player, maybe a outside of a premium round draft pick, something like that. But a Damari Mathis injury is certainly no bueno for a Broncos defense that should be hovering around top 3 all season.
Well, what I saw in the preseason game that made me think even more, be a little bit more confident that they're going to be ready to trade one of those guys, Damari Mathis, if he's not too hurt, or McMillan, is how Chris Abrams-Drain played. that I was not expecting that. He played really good. He's actually, if you look at his every snap that he's done, last year and this year so far, he's actually had a pretty darn good preseason both times. Never really got a shot until the end of last year, but played pretty well even when he got thrown in like that. So from my perspective, if he puts another game together like he did last week, you can very much. I would be sweating if I was one of those two guys, Mathis or McMillan, because they might be dangled as trade bait. Because Abrams Drain looked really good to me, and it wasn't just because he made the big plays. I mean, he was a solid coverage guy.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I was surprised about it. It's nice when you have some of these pleasant surprises in the wide receiver room in the defensive backfield. Coincidence? Yep. I think not. These guys have been going against each other all summer, Tom. I mean, remember that old saying? I forget who came up with it. Maybe DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, Coach Kubiak. Iron sharpens iron. Tend to work pretty well for the 2015 Denver Broncos. I'm not saying that's that kind of squad, but it's interesting when you see the culture. It's something we're always talking about. What is different about Sean Payton's culture? Competition, I'd say, is a word that is thrown around there all the time. And it doesn't just start in training camp. It starts in the offseason. It continues through the regular season. I think you see a unit of guys that really want to best each other, who really want to be the top dog. And that is great for a football season. I want 0 submissive players in my locker room and on my franchise. Maybe the kicker, maybe the punter. I know we got a few of them sitting around. I don't need Marquette King going out there trying to start fights with the little guy on radio like he did a few years ago. I don't need any of that. All right. Like the punter and the kicker should probably keep their mouths shut and get those field goals and punts in. But having the level of competition, having the culture raised, these are things that a coach can talk about or he can implement. Sean Payton's implemented that. And when these young guys come in, these new Denver Broncos who are in their year one, whether it's they're a free agent, whether it's they're an NFL draft pick, whether they went undrafted and signed a free agent contract, they're coming into this locker room and looking at these guys who are here and they're saying, we got to do it their way. We got to do it this way. This is the standard. This has been implemented. Hell, I've been told, Tom, by a few people I've been checking in with over there, that some of these guys feel like Sean Payton's been here a decade already. That culture is instilled. It's here. The Walton Penner ownership group has allowed Sean Payton and George Payton to collaborate and truly build a franchise of their own. Something that doesn't happen in the league all that often.
No, and you're right. I mean, he got rid of the players he needed to get rid of right away. It took a couple years, but he cleaned house, got rid of those players.
Who comes to mind when you say that, Tom?
Jerry Jeudy is one. He definitely got rid of him, even though they were expecting a lot out of him. But it was many other players.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he got rid of the losing attitude, the losing culture that was there. People that only knew losing. I mean, Justin Simmons is one. I know that he's well liked in the Denver community. Great person. I've interviewed him a couple times, but he was part of that culture where he was a starter. He never had a winning season. So they got rid of that. They got rid of a lot of injury-prone players as well. They reshaped the team in his liking, and he had to bring in a lot of New Orleans Saints in order to do that. But those guys are starting to go away too. He's bringing in his own guys, not bringing in the old own guys, but new guys that he really likes. And those people are all buying in. They're buying into this culture that he's established, and I have to give him credit for it, man. I was a little skeptical with Sean Payton, with him coming back and actually performing well, and he did a great job. He's done a great job with the culture. He's done a great job with building a team that can win. And he's done a pretty good job coaching for the most part. So I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. But you're right; it's top down. Everybody's working together to get this thing going in the right direction, and it has. It really has.
Let's give flowers where flowers are due. I will accept that as a Luke. You were right about Sean Payton, and I was wrong. I will also say, Tom, in that same light, you're right about a Wuzurike for now, and I was wrong. So I'm on Payton and you're on a Wuzurike. It seems pretty fair to me, right? Can we go with that? No, you bring something up, Tom, that's interesting with Justin Simmons, because good team guy, great locker room guy, great community guy, Why can't Justin Simmons find a team? Is it just the market of his position? You type Justin Simmons in, and I see his name come up on social media quite a bit, right? Ex-Broncos safety Justin Simmons has no bad blood, no beef with Sean Payton. Ex-Broncos safety Justin Simmons says he won't sign anywhere in the AFC West because of his love for the Broncos. And I say BS. If the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raiders, or the Chargers called and said, Justin, we will offer you a starting safety job with X amount to make, Justin would be a fool for not taking that contract. Money talks and you know what walks, but I don't know. There's some rumors out there. I'd have to check in with some folks. People are saying the Cincinnati Bengals are maybe preparing to make Justin Simmons an offer. I would love to see Justin continue his career. Obviously, a brief stint with the Atlanta Falcons. But right now, Tom, is it just the market? Is the market dictating Justin Simmons' lack of interest? Or what is it? Why can't Justin Simmons find work today, August 13th, preseason week number 2?
Well, I'm guessing it's a couple things. One, he wants a contract big enough that it makes him comfortable with signing it. But at the same time, teams are looking at an older safety who, is on the downside of his career. Are they willing to give him his number in order to bring him in on the team? So I think there's a couple things going on. He's still a good player, but he's not as good as he used to be 3 or 4 years ago. So I think they're kind of weighing that. Someone's going to get hurt. They're going to bring him in. They're going to sign him at some point, probably before the preseason's over, to get him on a team. But nobody's clamoring for him because his talent at this point probably isn't big enough for teams to say, okay, we'll bite on that contract that you want. Because I don't think he's going to take the league minimum to go play again.
I think you're right. I think there's a combination of things. Tom, if I were to ask you, is Justin Simmons playing football in 2025? Your answer is?
Yes, he will be on a team in 2025.
I think so too. He's the league's not full of enough great, I'm not going to say great, enough good safeties, right? I think Justin has a football IQ. He takes care of his body. This could be a training camp injury type thing. A guy gets hurt. Maybe Justin gets a call, and we're rooting for him here. The Rock coming in. Bo, Chapman, Nik since day one. Go, Bo Broncos. Yeah, man, I've been thinking about the in-between, that video that Bo dropped. And usually those things, I just brush them off, Tom. We talked about it on the show last week. But there was one thing that Bo talked about last week, and he actually gave his former college coach at Oregon credit for it. He said, my old coach used to say, choice is an illusion. You either do the work or get left behind. And I've kind of fallen in love with that motto a little bit. Like, if we just accept these are the things that we have to do and don't even give that word no an option, then let's get it done. And I think that's what you're seeing with Bo Nix, with Sean Payton. I think Bo wants to answer the call of duty from Sean Payton. And I think he wants to lead this football team. He had to earn that respect last year. That's something that you don't see from a lot of rookie quarterbacks that come in and understand it. They all come into the podium, they all come into the microphone, and they say, I need to get the belts on the wall. I need to get my guys respect. They very rarely do it. I think Jaden Daniels has the respect of his locker room. Caleb Williams, not so much. Drake May, things sound good out there in New England, but there's a maturity level with Bo Nix that just seems a little bit different. Something I really, really like. Stella weighing in over on YouTube. Sorry, guys, I'm late. What's going on with Nik Bonitto's injury? Tom, can you fill Stella and Broncos country in? Should they be worried? Nik Bonitto did not practice today. Broncos training camp.
Well, hopefully not. The coach speak. They say certain things, but Sean Payton came out and said, he has a foot injury, or, well, not necessarily injury, but he did something to his foot, but not to worry. He should be back at practice soon. He said Wednesday, but he didn't practice today. He was off on the side. I think they're taking precautions with it, but it doesn't sound serious. It sounds like he's going to be okay. And from my perspective, like I said earlier in the show, they should be very cautious. Make sure he's back before they throw him out in these meaningless preseason games, because the first preseason game, you saw what he could do. He's got the heck of a get off, and he got after the quarterback. I don't think he's missing a step, so let him heal up right. But for the most part, Stella, it doesn't sound serious. It sounds like he's going to be right back in the mix pretty soon.
And here's the good news, Stella and Broncos country, about Nik Bonitto. And I appreciate you weighing in, Stella. Remember, you can catch the show at your convenience. We appreciate all of our live viewers and appreciate you for tuning in every Wednesday night to MHI at 6 p.m. Mountain. But you guys can always catch us on Spotify, on iTunes. That's the beauty of this podcasting thing. Let us know how we do. Give us a review. Let us know how much you love your Denver Broncos. Here's the thing. You've got a culture in place, too, where the Walton Penner ownership group and Sean Payton want to reward guys who've earned that. Why am I bringing that up? Because they don't want to throw Nik Bonitto out there so he can get hurt, so he can't get paid on a practice in the middle of the summer, preseason game number 2. Everyone understands where things are going with Nik Bonitto. I would be shocked, Tom, I've been wrong before, but I would be shocked if the Broncos and Nik Bonitto's agent haven't been talking about a contract extension in some shape, form, or fashion since last January. These things, you take care of your guys, and that's what you see with Sean Payton. You've got an ownership group in the Walton Penner ownership who want to reward these guys, who want to keep these guys around. And, you know, sometimes people label me as a Courtland Sutton hater. I'm happy Courtland's going to stay with the Broncos. It's been something that the Broncos have missed for a long time. Homegrown guys. Garrett Bowles, Courtland Sutton. Those are 2 of your homegrown guys. Pat Surtain, he's very young in his career, but those pelts on the wall, those trophies, those accomplishments, man, he's stacking them up. We got to have more guys like that, Tom. Offense, defense, special teams, pillars of the team that are grown here in Denver. We went to college elsewhere. I get it. They don't have to be CU Buffs, Wyoming Cowboys, CSU Rams, none of that. But you've got to draft guys. You've got to make them want to stay, and you've got to reward them with these contracts. So I'm happy that Nik Bonitto was held out. I think it'll be interesting to see if he has joint practice against the Cardinals, right? And if he does, I would say don't count on seeing him in preseason game number 2. I think the joint practice certainly means more to Sean Payton and Vance Joseph. I have to give my guy some hell here for a little bit. Where is it? Who is it? Todd Ostendorf? Todd Ostendorf, you have to be the biggest Noah Fant fan I have ever seen, brother. God bless you, because I see you in the chat every week. Can the Broncos get Noah Fant? No. Speaking of homegrown, Noah Fant was one of the biggest draft busts for me in modern history. I was there standing next to Garrett Bowles, by the way, when Noah Fant got drafted, and everybody's like, huh? Even Garrett. But it's just one of these things for me, man. Like, he's a Bengal now. Stop with the retread. You don't see that with Sean Payton, with former Broncos. You do see him with former New Orleans Saints, and I'm hoping that starts to come to an end too. But you've seen some guys that have worked out, right? And I'm not talking about the Lil Jordan Humphreys of the world. Sure, serviceable, whatever you want to say. The wide receiver room is certainly better now with some of these different guys. But Malcolm Roaches, Adam Troutmans, right? These kind of guys. How about the kicker, Will Lutz, right? These are some wins that came over from the New Orleans Saints. So not that I'm getting after you, Todd, for wanting a guy that you liked back, but Noah Fant sucks, all right? I'm just going to say Noah Fant sucks. I'm tired of his crying and whining. Enjoy crying and whining in Cincinnati. It's all you will do. Brendan Rocco coming in here on YouTube, $5. Appreciate you, Brendan. What's up, brother? Good evening, Broncos country. Tom, what do we need to see Saturday night from Bo Nix to feel comfortable heading into this 2025 regular season?
Yeah, well, I want to see them be able to move the ball better than they did last week. Move the ball. If they can move the ball, score a touchdown, that is what I want to see. I want to see more crisp, more better communication, better urgency, whatever it is that they needed to do that was missing in the 49ers game for that starting offense. I want to see that out there. Now, Bo Nix doesn't have to light it up. He just has to be efficient and move the team down the field and get them in scoring position. That's what I want to see from Bo Nix. Just whatever it was, they were just off. They weren't on the same page. They were off, whatever it was. I don't want to see that. I want to see good timing. I want to see everybody on the same page. No miscommunications, efficient offense, drive it down the field, score a touchdown if you can, at least get a field goal. But that's what I'm hoping for from Bo Nix and the offense in general.
Fantastic answer and a fantastic question, Brendan. Really, really appreciate that. Here's something that's going to be a little bit different this weekend. It's happening in front of y'all, in front of us, in front of Broncos country, right? This is here. So things are a little bit different when you're getting used to what traveling is going to look like in the NFL. And I know not all these guys are going to be on the 53-man roster, but if you don't think that that's getting tested by Sean Payton, you are very mistaken and incorrect. Not a detail gets missed with one Sean Payton. He wants this team calibrated and ready to go by regular season game number 1. It's one of the reasons why the trainers have to be dialed in, the ball boys, the equipment staff, the chefs, the trainers. Everybody has to be ready to rock and roll, and it starts there. I will add to that. How about Kiss from Bo Nix? Can we keep it simple, stupid, for the Broncos offense? And some of that goes to Sean Payton as well. Sean's not going to go out there and try to throw bombs with Bo, try to get guys hurt on these big explosive plays. But I think there was a lot of overthinking from a lot of players on that Broncos offense. Sometimes it is truly paralysis by analysis with a Sean Payton offense. And you got to see continuity. But how about confidence? Can we see some confidence? I know it's there. I've seen it all during training camp. We've heard about it. We know these expectations. Let's get after some guys, Bo. I know it's just the preseason. I don't need you screaming and yelling, and Bo's not a screamer and yeller. And I know he went after Sean, but that's that relationship. That's that marriage. You can't tell me John and Mike never had words, right, in that locker room. So I want to see some confidence. I want to see some command, and I want to see some ownership. Now, Bo understands the moment, meaning he's only got X amount of reps, if that. I think you are going to see Bo, by the way, in preseason game number 2. Sean knows he needs to tease Broncos country a little bit. He knows how important it is to fill up that stadium, which Broncos country will have no problem doing here in 2025. So you're looking for continuity, you're looking for production, and you're looking for confidence. That's where we're at here on MHI, Brendan. You've got to see it, but it's not only from Bo. You've got to see it from the rest of the guys. How about RJ Harvey? Real quick on the way out. What are you expecting from Quadzilla? Because a lot of criticism about young cat rookie wanting to bounce everything on the outside. I know he's got those quads. I know he's a lifter. He gets in the weight room. He drinks his milk and says his prayers and eats his vitamins, Tom. But I need him to just keep it simple.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more out of him too. Obviously, he's a rookie, still getting his legs under him. I mean, you look at the other team in the AFC West. You look at their number 1 draft pick. He had negative yardage, so he is expected to be a lot better. So is RJ Harvey. Maybe it's just he needs a little bit more time in the offense, a little bit more time getting comfortable with the NFL speed and how that works. I really hope to see him kind of hit his stride in this next preseason game more so than in last. Not that he didn't do bad, but he needs to do a little bit better just to kind of add more confidence to me and many of the other analysts and even fans out there in Broncos country.
It's going to be fun to see preseason game number 2, Arizona Cardinals, joint practice tomorrow. It's going to be a fun week here in Broncos country strain. Luke, you got after Todd on fans, and that's what we do on this show, right? You guys get after me, I get after you, and we have fun. And I get after Tom more than anybody else because he deserves it, quite frankly. Todd coming right back because I'm always going to we're going to keep this give and take going, man. Nobody gets their feelings hurt on this show. We have a blast. And Todd said, Luke, what happened with you and Noah? He must have stood you up for dinner. Yeah, he wouldn't have gone to my dinner. That is for sure. He must have seen some of the things that I've been writing. But I ask you this, Todd. Why do you need to have a tight end that started 9 games and scored, 1 touchdown, 25 first downs on your team in 2025? You don't. That's why you move on. And you're right, Todd, you're right. The tight end position needs to improve. That's what Todd's looking at here. Evan Ingram, yes. What about everybody else? That remains to be seen. Maybe that's something we keep an eye on in preseason. The Adam Troutman story is probably coming to an end in the next couple years. Serviceable tight end, but you need a true number 2 behind Evan Ingram, a farm system, tight end type of guy. We will see what the Broncos do. Guys, we are officially up against it. We will be back next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Mountain. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out your latest coverage from all of your Broncos writers and podcasters. Head on over to X. That's at Mile High Huddle as well. The mothership at MHI_pod. Let's beef these pod numbers up. If you'd like to reach out to Tom, that's at Thomas Hall NFL over on X. Head on over to gridironintelligence.com now. Subscribe, sign up today. You will not regret it. If you'd like to reach out to me and fight about Noah Fant, that's at Luke Patterson LP over on X. I am happy to do it. Tom, another fun show, man. We've only got a couple more before the regular season, man, and we are rocking and rolling here at MHH. I'm so excited for this season with you, bro.
Yeah, so am I. And even though the preseason game didn't go as well as I had hoped, I'm still excited for this team. I still think they've got success written all over them. So you're going to see a better team probably next week and into the season. So get pumped up, Broncos country, because I think the Broncos have finally gotten over that losing hump and they're full steam ahead. So excitement on the way.
Time for a change here in the Mile High City. It's time to bring back, how fitting would it be? 10-year reunion. Lombardi Trophy. Let's get a fourth one in the Mile High City, guys. That's what we are aiming for here in Broncos country and here at MHH. Broncos country, preseason game number 2 into the Arizona Cardinals. This is the way.
This is the way.